So we're out here in the garden and there's a couple things that are ready for harvest, which is pretty cool. What'd you get? Can you say strawberry?
Good? Yeah? Good first harvest.
So we came out in the garden this evening just to take a look around and see how things were doing. And we noticed a few things were ready to come out. Peas were one. We planted them super early, as you'd normally do with peas. Didn't expect them to be ready, but just got a good harvest off of them. Then I came over here to our garlic and I noticed that some of the bigger plants are starting to send up scapes. The scapes can be really delicious when you harvest them before they get too woody and firm. They're super tender, they have a light garlic taste to them, and they're really awesome to cook. A lot of people turn them into a garlic scape pesto, and I like to do that, but I like to do something a little bit different with them as well, and I'm gonna show you how we do that tonight. First though, let's get the pigs fed because they are grunting at me and they're itching to eat dinner. We've been feeding the pigs on the ground the last week or so. We had some issues pop up where even with two different feed bowls placed on opposite ends of the run, they were starting to get into fights with each other and really nip at each other's ears and draw a little bit of blood. We spread it out a little bit when we throw it in, and it just makes things a little bit easier for them to spread out and get the food and not necessarily be on top of each other while they're eating. They're still on top of each other while they're eating, but more so than if we had just the two dishes out like we were doing before. So the scape is the part of the garlic plant that forms this curlicue. It usually shoots up in the northeast about mid-June, and this is when the garlic would normally form its flower and then eventually go to seed. Since we want to harvest this garlic, we don't want to let it go to seed because we want it to put all its energy into forming heads of garlic and big cloves. The cool thing about that is that you can eat these, and when they're young like this, they're very tender, they have a very mild garlic taste, and they're very delicious. You want to harvest your scapes just before they form a complete curlicue or right as they're forming a complete curlicue. If they begin to straighten out on you, it's a sign that they've started to go a little bit tough. They're going to be a little bit woody. You can still eat them. At that point, they'd probably be a little bit better to dry out and then powder to make into a seasoning agent, but you could still try to cook with them if you wanted to. So what we're going to do is these guys are just about fully formed. I don't want to wait any longer for them, so I'm going to take them and harvest them right now. The way you do that is super simple. You're just going to take your garden snips and you're going to cut them as close to the first leaf coming out of this as you can. So just follow the scape all the way down and then snip it right there. You can tell the scape from the leaves of the plant because it's going to have this little kind of long triangle shaped head forming on it. That's what's eventually going to become the flower of this. But The leaves won't have that, just the scapes will have that. So I'm gonna bring these scapes inside. I'm gonna get them cleaned up. We're gonna toss them a little bit of salt, pepper, and olive oil, and then I'm gonna get the ingredients that I need for the rest of our meal tonight. So I've got my grill preheating with a veggie tray in it. If you don't have one of those, I highly recommend getting one. They're super awesome for cooking vegetables on the grill, which we like to do a lot of in the summertime. So while the grill's preheating, I've got all my other ingredients lined up and I'm gonna do my prep. We're gonna use olive oil. You can use any oil you want, vegetable oil, extra virgin olive oil, regular olive oil. Doesn't matter. Olive oil, salt, pepper. We've got a pork chop from last year's pig that we're gonna use. This is a super simple teriyaki sauce that I make. It's literally just honey, sriracha, soy sauce, and sesame oil. You can vary the amount of ingredients in there depending how spicy you like it, how sweet you like it, how salty you like it. Really, it goes a whole bunch of different ways. But you're not going to need a lot of it because we want the taste of the vegetables to come through. We've got our garlic scapes that we just harvested. We've got some snow peas that we just harvested as well. And then we've got some shiitake mushrooms. These are from the store. These are not something we grow. You can grow these at home. There are kits online that you can buy. I tend to only buy them when they look really good, but they're a delicious mushroom. They stay really kind of textural, if that's a word. I don't know if that's a word. They keep a lot of meat to them when you cook them. They don't cook down into a mush like some other mushrooms tend to do. So we really like them. These are super simple to prep. All I'm going to do is literally just take my knife and I'm going to split them right down the middle. So you have two halves just like that. And then these are going to go in the veggie basket. So while the grill heats up, I'm going to do my prep. We'll do that. And then once the grill's heated up, when we're ready to put the veggies on, we'll come back. So now that I've got my mushrooms cut up, I'm going to put them in a bowl and I'm going to season them with a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. Because the mushrooms are going to take longer to cook than the garlic scapes and the snow peas, I'm going to put them in first and then I'm actually going to add the garlic scapes and snow peas later. Don't be afraid to get your hands in there either. So once you get those tossed with oil, it looks like the grill is preheated. We're gonna get those in the veggie basket. Okay, now that the mushrooms are in, we're just gonna prep the scapes and the snow peas, and this is super simple. All you're gonna do is throw them in your bowl. And again, you're gonna come back with a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. Give those a little toss to combine, get coated. One of the great things about this recipe is you can adapt it to whatever vegetables you have on hand. If you have red peppers, which I have inside, I probably should have made red peppers with it. But if you have red peppers, if you have onions, if you have water chestnuts, whatever you have, whatever you've harvested from your garden, if you have kale, you can throw that in there. You really just want to adapt the timing of it to make sure that it doesn't go in at a time where it's going to overcook. So you want to put your vegetables that take the longest to cook in first, and then as that vegetable cooks, you're going to add more vegetables to it. At the end of it, you'll have all your vegetables in at the same time and they'll all be cooked perfectly. It is nice too that you can serve this in a bunch of different ways. We're having it with rice tonight, but if you wanted to serve it with another grain like quinoa, you could. If you wanted to eat it just on its own, if you were doing a low carb thing, you could do that as well. So really, stir fries to me are great because they're so adaptable to whatever you have in the garden and whatever you're bringing in. As long as you have some form of protein, some vegetables, and that teriyaki sauce I told you about, those are really only the three things that you need and you have a perfect stir fry. You can do this inside as well. You don't need a grill. I like cooking on the grill. It's really hot. You could probably see me sweating. It's 90 plus degrees here in New Hampshire, which is really hot for us. So I like cooking out on the grill when it's this hot. I don't like heating up the stove inside the house because the ACs that we have going in the windows are taxed as it is. So do it outside, but you can do it inside as well. So you can see the mushrooms are starting to cook. They're starting to release a little bit of moisture. Texture's changing on them. So we'll let these go just a little bit longer. What I am going to do though, is I'm going to get my pork chop and I'm going to put that on the grill. It's getting pretty dark, so I'm gonna try and hurry this up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our pork chop off now, and we're gonna slice our pork chop, and we're gonna add it into the veggie basket with the other vegetables. That's just about done. And in you go. Now, we never had anything raw in this bowl, just the vegetables, so we're good to put everything back in there. And your last step is you're going to take that teriyaki sauce that you made. You're just going to pour it over the top. Make sure you get everything out. And you're just going to give everything a toss. Make sure it's nice and coated. I mentioned before you could do this inside, and it is good cooking inside. However, that little bit of char that you can get cooking on the grill just makes things tons better for me. We got our pork and vegetables. I'm gonna bring this inside, plate it up on some rice, and I'll show you the finished product. It's probably too late for you guys to see just how delicious this looks right here. So I'll cut in a few glamour shots right here so you can see what it looks like inside. Really, guys, I can't recommend cooking your garlic scapes on the grill more. Everyone loves pesto. I mean, pesto is great with garlic scapes. I'm not gonna talk trash on that, but really switch it up every once in a while. You know, you usually get a ton of them from your garden if you have a big garlic patch. So do the pesto one night by all means, but switch it up a little bit. Try grilling them one time. You can just throw them right down on the grill if they're from a larger garlic plant. So give it a shot. I promise you'll like it. Let us know what you like to do with your garlic scapes in the comments down below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one, guys. Bye.